Okay, this video is going to be on the enzymes. These are the first part of kind of what our metabolism looks like and the big players that are involved in our metabolism. So I'm going to start with a brief review of chemical reactions. This is stuff from last year probably for you. Remember, in a chemical reaction we have reactants and we have products. Now where enzymes fit in, what we'll look at today is how enzymes actually lead to the products in our body that's generally useful. So an example here might be starch. Gets broken down into a bunch of pieces of glucose. So the glucose we can use in our cells. Starch is not usable in our cells. So we need to break that down. We use amylase as an example. Enzymes can also lead to a building up of things. So for example, we can make proteins from amino acids, but we need the enzyme polymerase to do so. So kind of what enzymes look like and what they do, they speed up chemical reactions. That's their job. And how they do this is an enzyme, they have many different shapes. Each of the shapes have what we call an active site, and that's the region where the enzyme, where the reaction takes place. So for example, this is kind of a triangular cutout. Now it's not that simple in our body, but pieces of food that we eat or things that we digest are called substrates. Those are the molecules in the reaction that fit into those areas. So what can happen here then is enzymes can break down things. So for example, a starch kind of looks like this, where it has the six-sided rings of glucose set in chains. And so those two pieces will fall into the enzyme if they fit properly. And that enzyme goes along this chain and does that repeatedly. Enzymes don't get used up. So the amylase enzyme attaches there, breaks them apart, and you can see here as products then that there's a bunch of glucose rings sitting around. The amylase enzyme is still present, still there, and doesn't get used in the reaction. So if we take a bunch of enzymes that break things down, we call that our metabolism. So metabolism is a series of enzymes. So for example, if we eat food A here, a red block, but we can only digest food D over there, the star. So this is an individual nutrient or macromolecule like a protein or a carbohydrate or something like that that we can use in our cells. So we need to get from the food to those somehow. So what generally happens is we have some intermediate steps here between, we can't just jump from A to D. So from going from A to B might be enzyme number 1. From B to C might be a second enzyme, and from C to D would be a third enzyme. So that's how our metabolism works, is you have a series of enzymes that work together to get to the final product. Lastly here, enzymes can build things. So as we saw with the protein, amino acids can be built up to make a protein. So in this reaction we have polymerase, which is an enzyme again, and that polymerase has kind of a square cutout shape to fit these amino acids. So those amino acids fit in there, chemical reaction occurs, they form actually a peptide bond. And that just keeps going along the chain. Or maybe there's more than one polymerase. Usually there's many, many enzymes available. So those go along the chain, they connect the amino acids forming peptide bonds, and then the enzyme is kind of done with its job in that case. So enzymes can do a lot of different things. They can build things up, they can tear things down, and they're used in our metabolism. And they're not used up in reactions. So make sure you go on and take the short quiz for enzymes here.